Up the Wahs! Up the Wahs! Up the Wahs!
3, 2, 1, welcome along to Wah-Nanga. This is Warriors Anonymous Media Day, essentially, as we cover what has been happening around the place, across the media landscape, as the Warriors get ready for this big game against the Brisbane Broncos, the Prelim final. So, man, we're getting serious. The boys are all leaning into the cameras. It's getting real serious.
Yeah, bro. Elbows on the table.
Oh, that's first of all, we've got Daniel Whakakura already in the hoodie, and he's also been betrayed by Gus. I'm going to mention a bit more about that as we get into the podcast.
Have we? Have I?
He said you, bro. He didn't say us.
He's betrayed you personally, bro. We've also brought in a bit of expert help to a guy who's got his finger on the pulse of all the media stuff for the Warriors, and that is the Warriorholic. Zane, how are you, bro?
Kia ora whanau. I'm good. I just told the wife, it's my first night off talking about the Warriors in 2 weeks. Lo and behold, I get the call up, and
You get the call
couldn't
up.
help but jump on.
Oh,
Thanks for having me.
love it. Apologies to the wife on our behalf, bro.
Mate, she's more than happy.
Sorry.
First question for you is we've heard the reports from Daniel about how things went on the weekend. From your perspective, can you tell us just how did Daniel actually behave at the game at Mount Smart?
Oh, I must say he was very controlled in the way he consumed his lemonades. He engaged with our head sponsor there quite well. Managed to gauge a little bit of credibility as far as his professional services go to plant the seeds for future engagement. Yeah, no, it was very good. Very well behaved.
Magnificent. Excellent, bro. Well done. Oh, awesome, bro. Well,
Told you.
we believed you. Bro, there's obviously been a bit of an uprising in terms of Warriors coverage. You would have seen a lot of it across, SEN and, following the Fox League channels over here and Aussie and whatnot. There's actually even been chat about the NRL, whether or not they should actually move the grand final to an earlier time slot. That's in relation to if the Warriors make it, it's going to be like a bloody 10:30 p.m. kickoff or something like that. Where do you sit on, first of all, the grand final time slot issue?
See, I mean, it's not. I had a bit of a chat with Vossi and Brandy about this. Was it Vossi and Brandy? Maybe it was one of those boys. I think I've always been a fan of it being in the afternoon, particularly for kids, even in Australia. And it always works out bad for New Zealand because it's right on the week. We go to daylight savings this week. They go afterwards. They got a public holiday on the Monday. And I used the example of this week's game. My daughter's 10 years old. She's never had an interest in footy in her life, but all of a sudden, because of the wave of the movement, she sat there and watched the whole game by herself on my iPad while I was in Auckland. So it's the kids like her, which is a bit of a shame. But I think I'd like to know the value of the commercial market in New Zealand. Right, it must be third behind Queensland and New South Wales. So it just seems like it'd make a little bit more commercial sense. But I don't know. I don't think they'll do it, but I'd love it if they did. Bring it back to the afternoon game.
Because people have been saying, if the AFL can do it, then why can't the NRL? But anyways, for now, it's the status quo. They're gonna run with the nighttime grand final plus the extra hour on top of the time difference. So
but I'll be there, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, that's right. Actually, I think Daniel's going to be there as well, bro. You guys are all booked in, right?
Yeah, we're just talking about how we're actually going to get that logistics of actually getting there. Now we've got our tickets.
Boys, just get here, and then I'll meet up with you, and we'll cause carnage. Now, across Fox League, they've actually been given. We give them a hard time, but they've been covering the Warriors hard the last couple of nights.
They have.
Of course, NRL 360 mentioned about the Warriors and managed to play the Up the Wahs song. Yeah, awesome. It was a huge thrill. Gordon Tallis, he actually says we're a big chance against the Broncos, coming from a guy who's firmly from that sort of background on the Broncos side. I find that to be a big one. But Buddha, the guy who you place a lot of trust in, and Gus we trust, he thinks we're going to get done and get done easy by the Broncos. What's your response?
Oh, well, Gus, he's one of the biggest commentators in the game, right? Anything Gus says kind of tends to go. But to be fair, he's starting to lose his credibility somewhat. The shambles that is the Bulldogs, really, is probably testament to that too. And obviously how he bowed out of Penrith as well, and look where Penrith are now. Granted, he did set up the pathways, but he obviously got rid of Ivan too. So, hey, fair play. Gus is going that way. But you got Gordon Tallis weary. And I think most pundits are, based on the performance on the weekend. They know that was I guess for majority of it's a complete performance. They know that perhaps that the Broncos are kind of a little bit untested as well. I can't recall much of an arm wrestle that they've been through. Most games have sort of blitzed through, which is obviously testament to them. But I do recall games like the Raiders where they got into an arm wrestle and the Raiders did what Raiders do, right? To their credit, they stuck in the game and they got them late. So, and it's a young Broncos side. So everyone's kind of thinking, are they the real deal? They've looked really good. But this is a big test as well. So I put it this way. I think everyone expects the Panthers to waltz through the storm. But everyone is, the bookies obviously backing the Bronx. We'll take that. We could be the underdogs. But you just never know.
That's right. You never know. Now, obviously, we've had the blackout game earlier in the year. And now the Warriors are doing a blackout this week, and that's a blackout on media. So no media allowed at trainings. Captain's run. No. You cannot see what we're going to do. Zane, what does that mean for us? Do you think we've got some sneaky moves coming up?
RTS, maybe? Hey, just quickly on the last thing about Gus, I saw something like there's a post going around on Insta basically saying the Warriors are screwed because Gus backed the Bulldogs and he backed the Blues, and now he's backed us to win, so we've got no hope. So I think he might be throwing out a bit of misinformation there. But I've heard a lot of the logical pundits be talking about the experience of us having 5 guys who've played preliminary finals and a coach has been to the finals versus them having 2 players and the coach has never been there. So, media blackout, that's interesting. Like, Webby, I didn't think he was initially the guy to play mind games. He seemed very direct and straight up, and then about, 2/3 of the way through the season, he started changing the lineups on game day. And, I'm honestly wondering if, the whole SJ thing wasn't the Kaiser Solse, pre-planned, complete beat up, that there was never actually a calf issue.
Magnificent. If it is, oh man, that's incredible.
Yeah. See, so no, I think that might be it, He's he's getting sick of wearing the sock on the on the TV shots, so he wants to train without it, so we're going to have a media blackout.
Yeah, I like it. I think it says that we're serious, that we know we're a chance, and we're just going to just shut it down. Daniel, we've spoken a lot about. Well, I've thrown out the idea to do some double rounds, practice the double rounds, get the media away, and so we can catch the Broncos cold. But now the ground situation. The game's going to be played at Suncorp. But you've got a couple of, thoughts about, the neutral ground for a prelim final.
Yeah, I mean, I know before the starts, and they've always allowed a team in the prelim to have a home, the top qualifier to have a home semi-final, prelim final, so long as they have the capacity, ground capacity. But the reality is that it used to just be in Sydney as well. So, I mean, it would favour Sydney teams, right? Obviously. But really, it's 2 things. Obviously, it favours the Broncos, but it's an amazing field. But I think they've also allowed the Broncos members to dominate it as well, which is, hey, hold on, maybe it should have been a little bit more of a free-for-all as well. So there's talk, obviously, that there's a small bay for Warriors only fans, and not to be confused with OnlyFans. And the rest of everyone else has to just find tickets in scattered places. So, I mean, that probably does just diminish the kind of collective Warrior spirit. But look, we saw it at the Dolphins game that we got a massive crowd there, right? So hopefully we'll be out there in full voice. I mean, I think the mind games now, or the shots being fired from the Panthers saying, look, we have to come in here, but the Broncos don't have to move as well. So look, just throw another little barb at it. And also, I guess it compounds the theory that the Broncos are a protected species. Apparently, they've only left, they've left the Queensland 4 times this year. Granted, one was to come to Napier, and they, to their credit, they were good travellers, and they took the game to us, which is great. But look, even we've talked about this before. Magic Round, it was listed as an away game for them. I mean, how fucking ridiculous, right? But anyway, they can have the silver service. They can get the red carpet treatment all through the season. And our boys have done it the hard way. We know that. So maybe that will be the difference in the end.
I mean, I think whoever's going to be there, I think there might be a sneaky number of Warriors fans there at Suncorp. I think they've certainly got their ways, and they'll come out of the woodwork and find a way to be noticed as well, nice and loud. And
do you reckon they're going to wear Broncos jerseys, and as soon as they kick off, they're going to go?
Well, there were heaps of tickets available on I checked it in the pub when it went, at Gen Pop, and there were seats all over the whole stadium. So I think that unlike ours, where I don't know whether anyone in Gen Pop actually got a chance to buy a ticket, they were pretty much sold out by the non-ticketed fans, right? Non-ticketed members. But over there, the third day they were available, I think it was it? No, I can't remember what else. But I looked, and I could access it from the Gen Pop, and there were heaps of tickets. So I'm pretty sure the Kiwis would have snapped them up. But it's just like you mentioned, having them spread out. It's obviously a strategy. It's a bit gimp, but hey, I don't think when you the Broncos fans are a little bit fickle too. They're really noisy when they're on top, but do what we did to the Knights, bro, they'll shut up pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely exciting for. I really think this is going to be one of the real intriguing factors of this prelim final. Is just going to be the makeup of the crowd and how it all sounds. So now Zane, Triple M, bloke at the bar, they think the Wahs are more likely to beat Broncos than the Storm are to beat the Pants. So they're not ruling us out. Like what can we take from that sort of high profile sort of praise and support?
Yeah, I think it comes back down to the experience. Like across the board, we have more experience in NRL, right? International footy. We've got more finals experience. They've got more recent state of origin experience in a third of their squad. But they've got a lot of players who don't have it. And the other thing for me is we don't have emotional players. Like they've got some really, those guys, Selwyn Cobbo, Reece Walsh, Flegler, who've got a switch. They can either be, use that and to their advantage, but if it starts to go past the limit, it can be a negative. So I think, the closest we've probably got is Jazz and Barnett, but they've really managed to play to their limit this year. So I think we've got to avoid getting into that trap like we had against the Gold Coast. Just sit there. They can antagonise Rocco Berry when he chases Reece Walsh on the kick every time and nails him. Reece Walsh will push him and he'll just get up and he'll go back to position and tackle him again. So I think that's where our strength is experienced, hardened. We're not going to be really emotive, whereas I think there's a chance that their emotion could be used against them.
Stone cold killers. I like that.
That's it, bro.
But I just thought of something as well. Te Maire Martin was part of that Broncos setup last year, playing fullback. So how much of a key sort of help will that be in trying to nullify what the Broncos do and what Reece, in particular, will bring at us?
Well, we have some insight, right? Especially to some of the structures they play, how some of those younger guys like Eds and Ramam has come into the game as well. What he does and what he doesn't do. Obviously, you want to understand the impact for Reno too. So, yeah, I think it's this week he would probably be giving a lot of insight as well in video. Obviously, Webby's major tactician, right? And I think that was evident in how they unpacked the Knights during the weekend as well. So, but just having a guy who's been in that setup, understand kind of Kevy's message to them too as well. And you talk about him as an emotive individual. Kevy's very much like that, right? He's a master of kind of getting guys up and teams up, but he's also, he can he can wear his heart on his sleeve a little bit as well. So yeah, I think Te Maire will be pretty key just to give those little tips. And I heard Mitch Barnett talking just today actually about the Knights game, and they talk about kind of the little things, when you make little mistakes as well, and little details. When we made a few mistakes, but I guess it also goes to show how much detail they go into. Where to target players, how to target players. The talk is our right side has been so good this year as well, and there's talk that the Broncos left perhaps is a little bit more weak with Esmeralda in there as well. So yeah, all those little details, all those little tells. Te Maire is a smart footballer. We'll just be feeding that through.
He is a very smart footballer. Boys, you're both heading to the grand final already. That's locked in. That's confirmed. So I guess I'll have to join you there as well. Might as well, seeing as you're going to be
noticed you're not saying you've got a nice batch at the back here that you guys can stand in. I'm praying that praying that's going to be the case.
This is the Warriors Anonymous studio right here, which is basically a broom cupboard. yeah, we'll hit up a beach house. We'll just find a beach house and we'll go hit it up. But boys, hopefully the Warriors can also join you at the grand final as well, because that would be an epic time to be alive. So we'll catch you. We'll keep in touch. And Zane, thank you for joining us on this particular episode.
Just quickly on that, mate, I managed to score a $300 betting voucher through SEN. And I figure they're paying $3.49 to win. I'm putting it all on the Warriors. There's my earfares covered.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not going to go if we don't make it, mate. I'll sell the ticket. So if we're going, I may as well get the Aussie. What are they? It's not sports bet. I should give them a plug. But yeah, so that's me. I'm going all in on the Warriors.
All in.
And if they win, then it's on them. Up the wires.
Can't wait for Saturday night. We will join you guys tomorrow night with the expense account. Just need to help Greg Spence if you can get us some insights for that one. Please, Greg, if you're watching, bro. And we'll catch you. We'll catch you then. Zane, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you
boys.
next time.
Up the wires.
Oops,